In today's video, we'll look at some unsettling, unsolved mysteries that started with a car crash. But before that, we want to bring you a word from our friends at Magellan TV. At this point, I think we're all looking for something new to watch. I want to recommend a great documentary I saw on Magellan TV called A Question of Innocence. It is about Tommy Ziegler, who was convicted of a quadruple homicide, and he has been sitting on Florida's death row for 4 decades. But is Ziegler actually innocent? Magellan TV has a great collection of true crime and mystery documentaries, and A Question of Innocence is just one of them. Magellan TV is run by filmmakers, and new documentaries are added daily. They also have a great collection of history documentaries that are about some of the most notorious people who ever lived. Magellan TV is ad-free, and they also have some great documentaries that are available in stunning 4K. Magellan TV can be watched anywhere at any time, on your TV, laptop, or mobile device. It works with Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Google Play, Apple TV, and iOS, and you can even cast from your phone to your TV. Magellan TV has a special offer for criminally listed viewers. Just go to try.magellantv.com/criminally listed and you'll get a month for free. Find something to help with your boredom and help support criminally listed in the process by checking out Magellan TV. Number 3. The Delafield John Doe. It was foggy on the morning of September 14, 1977, in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. An officer with the state police saw a man driving on the interstate with dim headlights. At around 4 a.m., he radioed the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department and told them to keep an eye out for the car. About half an hour later, a sheriff's deputy saw the car near Delafield, Wisconsin, and he pulled it over. When the sheriff's deputy parked his vehicle behind the car, the driver suddenly sped off. The sheriff's deputy tried to follow the car, but he lost it in the dark and the fog. He drove to a nearby intersection, and he noticed some tire tracks on the unpaved shoulder leading off the road into a field. It turned out that the car he was pursuing flew about 80 feet into the field. It then rolled for about 150 feet. During the crash, the car's only occupant, a man in his 20s, was thrown from the vehicle. His dead body was found about 25 feet from the car. The medical examiner thought that the young man was killed on impact. He has sustained head and chest injuries. The police found out that the car that the young man had been driving had been stolen from Gurnee, Illinois, about 2.5 hours before the crash. Gurnee is about 67 miles from the crash site. The young man had no identification on him. In fact, in the 40-plus years since the accident, the young man driving the stolen car has never been identified. What is known about him is that he was a white man, probably in his 20s. He was about 6 feet tall, weighed 155 pounds, and he had brown hair that was cut in a military style. He was well groomed and he was dressed nicely. He was wearing a blue, white, and gray long-sleeve button-up shirt and gray and white checkered pants from a department store called Gady's, which was in downtown Wheaton, Illinois. The man was also wearing a black and white wishbone sports jacket with a black fur collar. Finally, he was wearing green jockey shorts, black socks, and brown crepe-soled shoes. In the car were several bags of women's clothes. Also found in the car was a lighter with the inscription, "To John, Love Lori." It is not known if the dead man's name was John or if it was a nickname, or the name John may have nothing to do with him. Another item that was found was a business card for a mobile home seller called Johnny's in Des Plaines, Illinois. On one side of the business card, it appears that someone wrote Belmont Kedzie 2814. There was also a notebook found in the car, and someone had written on some of the pages. On one page it reads, Employment Office 2860N Lincoln. No hiring done here. On what appears to be on the back of the cover of the notebook, someone wrote the word Lincoln, but it's misspelled. On another page it possibly reads Riddell Inc. 1151 W. Roscoe. One last item that was found in the car appears to be a promotional item, possibly a button, for a real estate company in Illinois. There have been many attempts to identify the young man over the years. In 2015, his body was exhumed and a DNA sample was taken. The DNA has been entered into several databases, but no match has been found. So at the time of this video, the identity of the young man driving the stolen car on that foggy morning in September 1977 near Delafield, Wisconsin, is a mystery. Number 2. Robyn Adler. In the spring of 1983, Robyn Melanie Adler was 22 years old, and she lived in Tamarack, Florida. On the night of May 19, 1983, she left her home and she went to visit her boyfriend in Loxahatchee, Florida. Later that evening, she left her boyfriend's home and she was planning on meeting some friends at a bar in Tamarack. She never made it to the bar, nor did she return home. Her family reported her missing a few days later. On the night Robyn Adler went missing, she was driving her father's red 1977 Toyota Celica. 6 days after Adler went missing, the car she was driving was found on the northern shore of M Canal in Royal Palm Beach, Florida, which is a village just south of Loxahatchee. It looked like the car had gone down an embankment at the end of the road and it collided with an Australian pine. It appeared that the car had become stuck in the sand. Inside the car, there were no signs that anyone had suffered a severe injury. There were also no signs of foul play. One odd thing was that the car's battery was missing. However, someone could have come across the car after the crash and taken the battery without reporting the discovery of the vehicle to the police. Inside the car, there were directions written on a piece of paper. The handwriting appeared to be Adler's handwriting. The directions were to C Road, which is a road that runs north and south. It is about 3.2 miles long and is located in Loxahatchee. The start of the road in the north is about 6 miles southwest of where the car was found. No one knows why Adler had directions to C Road. The police have found no clues as to what happened to Robyn Adler. However, they are treating her disappearance as a homicide. A person of interest in the case is serial killer Christopher Wilder. Wilder was born in Australia, but he spent much of his childhood in the United States. When he was in his late teens, he moved back to Australia. He is the suspect in an infamous double homicide in Sydney, Australia, which happened in 1965, called the Wanda Beach Murders. Sometime after the Wanda Beach murders, Wilder moved to Boynton Beach, Florida. Boynton Beach is only about 25 miles from where Adler's father's car was found. Wilder was known to cruise around Florida and even travel long distances to find victims. Robyn Adler also fits into Wilder's victim profile. She was an attractive, petite woman who was in her 20s. Wilder would often approach physically attractive young women and tell them he was a photographer. He would then ask them to model for him. He would either lure them to his vehicle or he would meet up with them later. Once he had them alone, he would sexually assault, torture, and then murder his victims. The bodies of several of his victims have never been found. Because Wilder targeted physically attractive young women, he has been called the Beauty Queen Killer. It's suspected that between 1965 and 1984, Wilder killed at least 16 women in Australia, Florida, Oklahoma, Nevada, Texas, Colorado, and California. However, besides living in the area where Adler lived and went missing, and the fact that Wilder killed women who shared similar qualities with Adler, nothing else ties him to her disappearance. If you want to know more about Christopher Wilder, we cover him in the video 3 Creepy Unsolved Shopping Mall Mysteries Part 2. You'll be able to find a link to that video at the end of this video. If Robyn Marie Adler is dead, her remains have never been found. If she is alive today, she is 59 years old. Number 1. Arnold Archambeau and Ruby Bruguier. At the end of 1992, Lake Andes, South Dakota had a population of 846 people. 2 of those people were 20-year-old Arnold Archambeau and 19-year-old Ruby Bruguier. Archambeau and Bruguier grew up together and they started dating in high school. They were both Yankton Sioux and they were well liked in their community. Archambeau was even elected prom king. A year earlier, in 1991, Ruby had given birth to a daughter named Erica. On December 11, 1992, the couple were partying with Bruguier's cousin, 18-year-old Tracy Dion. They hung out all night, and then at 6 a.m. on December 12th, they went to Dion's home. They left Erica in the care of Dion's parents. Dion's father noticed that the trio had been drinking. He told them to leave the baby with him and then come back later. They agreed, and then Archambeau, Bruguier, and Dion drove off. They were in Archambeau's Chevrolet Monte Carlo, and Archambeau was driving. At an intersection not far from Dion's home, Archambeau lost control of the car. The car overturned, and it ended up on its roof in a frozen ditch. The ice in the ditch was thick, so the car came to a rest upside down on top of the ice. Tracy Dion said that when she realized what was going on, Archambeau was not in the car. Then her cousin, Ruby Bruguier, managed to get out of the car. But neither Archambeau nor Bruguier helped Dion out of the car. The overturned car was found soon after the crash, and paramedics got Dion out of the car. The police then began to search the area for Archambeau and Bruguier. They also searched a lake area near the crash. Like the ditch, the surface of the lake was frozen solid, but the young couple was nowhere to be found. There were no signs that they somehow fell through the ice. Since Archambeau was drunk when he crashed, the police thought he was trying to avoid getting in trouble, so they thought that he and Bruguier would turn up later. But a few days went by and their families didn't see or hear from them. Their families thought that this was weird because they wouldn't have abandoned their daughter for an extended time. Then on March 10, 1993, 3 months after the couple went missing, a motorist was driving beside the same ditch where Archambeau had crashed the car. About 75 feet from the crash site, the motorist noticed a dead body floating in the ditch. He called the police, who came out to investigate. The body was severely decomposed and the face was unrecognizable. Based on a tattoo, the police were able to determine that was the body of 19-year-old Ruby Bruguier. It appeared that she was wearing the same clothes that she was wearing when she went missing. However, her glasses and her shoes were missing and they have never been found. The police decided to pump the water out of the ditch. After they drained the ditch, they found the body of 20-year-old Arnold Archambeau. His body was found about 15 feet from where Bruguier's body was found. Unlike Bruguier's body, Archambeau's body was not very decomposed. Also, neither his body nor his clothes were frozen to the ground. The police are not sure if the clothes on his body were the same clothes he was wearing when he went missing. In one of Archambeau's pockets, there were 3 keys. 2 of the keys appeared to unlock a house, and the other one was for a vehicle. But the police have never found what vehicle or house the keys belonged to. The discovery of the bodies was a shock to both the police and Archambeau and Bruguier's families. They had thoroughly searched that area for several months. In the weeks after the disappearance of the couple, there was not much snow, so the conditions did not hinder the search or hide the bodies. Even people who had no connection to the police and the families searched the area. But no one saw the bodies or any evidence that anyone had fallen through the ice. The police and the families of Archambeau and Bruguier are adamant that their bodies were not in the ditch in the weeks after the accident. The medical examiner later determined that both Archambeau and Bruguier had died of exposure. However, there were several things that the medical examiner could not determine. Notably, the time of death could not be determined. Also, the medical examiner could not explain why Bruguier's body was much more decomposed than Archambeau's body. The investigators concluded that Archambeau and Bruguier did not die in the ditch. However, they could not explain how their bodies got into the ditch. One odd thing that they found on the side of the road was a tuft of hair. Tests were done, and it turned out that the hair belonged to Bruguier. A sheriff's deputy said that there was no way the hair could have stayed on the side of the road for 3 months. Then there were the accounts of witnesses. Hours before Bruguier's body was discovered, a witness saw a dark SUV-type vehicle, possibly a Chevy Blazer, with 2 men inside of it, parked close to where the bodies were found. Also, in the weeks after the couple went missing, 6 people reported seeing Archambeau and Bruguier. One person even claimed that they saw them on the morning of the accident. The witness said they got into a car near the crash site and the car was heading east. One woman who knew Archambeau said she talked to him on New Year's Eve, which was 3 weeks after the accident. She said he was sitting in the back of a car with a couple. She took a polygraph exam and she passed. The couple was interviewed by the police and they said they didn't see Archambeau and they said they were home on New Year's Eve. They also took polygraph exams. The polygraph examiner determined that they were not telling the truth. The last sighting was on January 20th, which was nearly 6 weeks after the accident. Someone claimed that they saw Bruguier in Wagner, South Dakota, which is about 15 miles from Lake Andes. The families of Archambeau and Bruguier believe that they were murdered sometime after the accident, and then their bodies were dumped in the ditch to make it look like they died as a result of the accident. The FBI was called in to investigate, but they found no signs of foul play, so they closed the case. Nearly 19 years after the deaths, the sheriff of the county retired. He said that the case is the most baffling case of his career. He said that he was sure that their bodies were not in the ditch in January. He thinks that Archambeau and Bruguier died elsewhere, and then someone dumped their bodies in the ditch after the ice melted. But he admitted that there is no evidence to explain what happened to Arnold Archambeau and Robyn Bruguier after they were in the car accident. Their deaths are considered one of South Dakota's most notorious unsolved mysteries. Thanks a lot for watching today's video. We hope you found it interesting. If you're looking for something else to watch, you should check out Chapter Dark, which is the new channel I started with the creator of Top 5 Unknowns. Every week we'll have a new mystery for you to solve. If you like riddles or escape rooms, you'll hopefully like Chapter Dark. This week's special guest star was Robyn Adler, who is the creator of the amazing true crime podcast, The Trail Went Cold. If you like the television show Unsolved Mysteries, you'll love The Trail Went Cold. You can find a link to both Chapter Dark and The Trail Went Cold in the description box below. Once again, thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like it. Also, please check out criminallist.com where you can suggest cases, buy merch, and find out about an exclusive podcast. But that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.